This video by Samuel Mutahi covers chapter 17 to 30 of his book. Chapter 17. When socializing turned into psychological labor. There was a time when socializing felt natural. Conversation flowed. Presence felt mutual. Silence was allowed. That time ended quietly. What replaced it was psychological labor. Every interaction began to demand emotional regulation, facial performance, tone management, thought filtering, strategic agreement. You weren't allowed to simply be. You had to function correctly. This is why socializing now feels exhausting, not because people are evil, but because modern interaction is built on constant self-editing. You are not tired of people. You are tired of monitoring yourself, and the more self-aware you become, the heavier this labor feels. Chapter 18. The performance economy of human interaction. We live in a performance economy, not just at work. Everywhere, you are evaluated on how approachable you seem, how agreeable you sound, how little discomfort you cause, how well you affirm others' illusions. Truth has become inefficient. Honesty has become disruptive. Depth has become inconvenient. So people perform. Interest they don't feel. Morals they don't live. Loyalties they don't hold. And the reward for performing well is continued inclusion. The punishment for stopping is subtle exile. This is not accidental. It is how groups preserve stability, by rewarding conformity and punishing deviation. Chapter 19. Why exhaustion is the first sign of awareness. Most people are not exhausted. They are anesthetized. Alcohol, noise, entertainment, routine. Exhaustion appears after awareness, when you begin noticing repeated scripts, predictable emotional reactions, manufactured outrage, performative empathy. Your mind starts working overtime. You are no longer swimming unconsciously. You are watching the current. And watching requires energy. That is why awareness feels heavier than ignorance. Not because it is worse, but because it is real. Chapter 20. The family guilt matrix. Family is where conditioning is strongest. Not because family is malicious, but because it is emotional territory. From childhood, you are taught obedience equals love. Agreement equals respect. Sacrifice equals virtue. Later, these become tools. You've changed. You think you're better. That's not how we raised you. What is really being said is, you are violating the version of yourself we are comfortable with. Guilt becomes enforcement. Concern becomes control. Tradition becomes justification. And many adults live entire lives trapped in this matrix, never realizing that maturity sometimes requires disobedience without hostility. Chapter 21. Transactional friendships and emotional debt. Most friendships do not collapse, they expire. They were built on convenience, proximity, mutual distraction, shared limitation. When one person evolves, the transaction breaks. Suddenly, you are distant. You are hard to reach. You are no longer the same. Which is true. But what hurts them is not your absence. It is the loss of access. Friendship that depends on emotional extraction is not friendship. It is mutual coping. And coping relationships cannot survive growth. Chapter 22. Workplaces as social laboratories. Modern workplaces are behavioral laboratories. You are observed not just for output, but for compliance. Your enthusiasm is measured. Your silence is interpreted. Your boundaries are noted. The language is friendly. Culture, team, alignment. The function is control. Those who see this clearly face a dilemma: perform and survive, or stay authentic and risk marginalization. This is why many competent people feel suffocated, not because they cannot work, but because they refuse to perform submission. Chapter 23. Nietzsche, the herd, and ressentiment. Nietzsche understood this long before algorithms and offices. The herd values sameness, safety, emotional agreement, mediocrity disguised as morality. Those who deviate threaten stability. Resentment arises when those who feel powerless moralize their weakness. They label strength as arrogance, independence as selfishness, silence as hostility. This is how the herd protects itself, not through force, but through moral pressure. And the individual who sees this inevitably becomes lonely. Chapter 24. Pattern recognition as social exile. Pattern recognition isolates. You start seeing why certain jokes repeat, why outrage is selective, why kindness has conditions, why help often comes with strings. You cannot unsee it. And once you stop reacting emotionally, people sense the shift. They feel unreadable, uncontrollable, unvalidated, so they withdraw or provoke. Either way, distance forms. This is not superiority. It is incompatibility of perception. Chapter 25. Authenticity is expensive. Authenticity costs. It costs invitations, approval, familiarity, ease. Because authenticity disrupts unspoken agreements. Most groups are not held together by truth. They are held together by shared illusions. When you stop pretending, you don't attack the illusion. You simply stop feeding it. And illusions starve quietly. Chapter 26. Strategic distance as self-preservation. Strategic distance is not withdrawal. It is resource management. Your energy is finite. Your attention is valuable. Your nervous system matters. Distance allows selective engagement, reduced emotional exposure, clearer judgment, internal stability. You stop explaining yourself. You stop broadcasting your thoughts. You stop seeking permission to exist. This is how clarity survives. Chapter 27. Solitude as psychological rehabilitation. Solitude is where the mind detoxes, away from noise, opinions, expectations, emotional demands. Here, you hear yourself again. Your thoughts slow, your reactions soften, your identity stabilizes. This is not isolation. This is recalibration. People who fear solitude often fear themselves. Those who embrace it emerge sharper. Chapter 28. Why most people fear your silence. Silence removes leverage. When you stop explaining, they can't argue. When you stop reacting, they can't provoke. When you stop seeking approval, they lose control. Silence forces others to confront themselves, and most people avoid that at all costs. So they label your silence as arrogance, coldness, detachment. Let them. Silence is not absence, it is containment. Chapter 29. Living without the need to be understood. Being misunderstood is freedom. The need to be understood keeps people trapped in explanation. Explanation invites negotiation. Negotiation invites control. When you stop trying to be understood, you move cleaner, you choose better, you waste less energy. Understanding is not required for self-respect. Only clarity is. Chapter 30. Becoming without apology. This is where the metamorphosis stabilizes. You no longer seek validation, inclusion, permission. You choose precision over popularity, depth over noise, alignment over approval. You accept the cost, because the cost of self-betrayal was higher. This is not bitterness. It is arrival. You didn't lose people. You outgrew performances. And what remains is not loneliness, but a quiet strength.